Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I just got disturbed, but I'll just continue from where I ended. So I was talking about the characters. Now, these two characters and strings, they have to do with letters and you can and other stuffs. Yeah, it is like freestyle. Just wait for a short moment. I show you the codes. Everything will make sense. But for characters, it just has to be one value. If it is a number or whatever symbol, it just need to be one. If it is a number, I mean, in terms of uh, the items, for instance, you instead of having like 1 2 3, this one will only get one item of these three. It will get the last item. So this only accept one item of the values it has been given. In fact, this is made only to store one value. This is only in the case where maybe you are trying, maybe you make a mistake, or maybe you're trying to store a lot of a value containing a lot of items. And when you are dealing with the letters, it also, okay, whichever of the values found on the, yeah, so whichever of the values found on the keyboard, it can be a symbol, but it just have to be one. Whether other letters, it just have to be a single letter. Okay, I'll show you in the codes. So for the strings, it is now a freestyle. Yeah, you can even have a name. You can have maybe your name. You can even combine it with symbols and letters. It is like a freestyle. Yeah, but these two are the only data types which has to do with letters. So if maybe your program has anything to do with the letters and other stuffs which you might need to get from the user or output or show to the user, these are necessary. I'll show in the example. Okay, so having explained now the format to follow if you want to declare, or I mean if you want to work with variables, so I think we can now get to the text editor. Oh yeah, just a minute. I thought I've explained in the previous videos. Okay, let's just go back. Oh yeah, I thought I explained. Okay, so after explaining the data types and having explained the format to follow when you want to work with variables in C programming, now let's combine these two to to make everything make sense. Okay, so here where I've put type, you put the type of the data that is going to be stored in the variable. The variable name can be anything, but even though there are some restrictions which I'll show you. So if you want to maybe declare any of these data types, here where I've put type, if you want to work, maybe you want to create a variable to store integers, here where I've put type in the format, you should put int. Int, it is just an abbreviation for integer. It means what you're storing in that variable is an integer. Okay, and then for floats, if you want to create a variable to store values of a type, maybe decimals, you just put float. meaning you're storing a value which is a float. It has some decimal points in it. And then for doubles, you just put double, meaning the value that you are storing in that variable is a double. Okay. And then for characters you just put cha. I don't know how you can pronounce this, like cha, instead of writing the full word character. And then for the string I'll explain this one as just it is a topic on its own. In this programming language, it's a little bit complicated compared to any other programming languages I've worked with so far. Yeah, so I'll just explain. I won't explain now. Okay, so for example, if you want to create a variable of a type an integer, you can say int. Maybe let's say you want to create a variable which will be storing maybe the age of a person. You write that you can put you can write anything you want and say equals this equals it is you're just you're saying, okay, the value which I'm going to put it is the one I want to store in this variable called age of which will this value is going to be an integer. That is the type of the data that you're storing in this age. Yeah, so you can put maybe 23. So meaning you have created a variable age. Now this is what I've just done here. Okay, let me just clear this. So by just reaching here, what you have just done, even if you just leave your codes here, as long as don't forget to put the semicolon. This is a statement. Yeah, so what you have done by just saying int age, you have already told the computer then that I am creating a variable called age. Even if you end a, your program will still execute. It won't give you an error. So here you've just declared that I am creating a value called age. Okay, then after you add now the value, the value may be 23. So here you have okay, you hear these terminologies being used mostly in this industry. Instead of saying I have assigned this variable with a value this and that, you can say I have initialized this value to this variable. In other words, you can say I have instantiated. To instantiate a variable, meaning now you first declared and then eventually now you have also assigned a value to this variable. Okay, so I just wanted to explain. Maybe you'll be hearing it from maybe most of the programmers. These are just jargons which they use. Okay, so the same thing. If you want to create a float, you can just say float and the name of a variable where you're going to be storing this float. Let's call it maybe you want to create like the price of something, price, and this an assignment operator. It is called an assignment operator because it is going to assign a value to the price variable. So let's say maybe the float price, we can call it maybe like 12.9 in the semicolon at the end. And yeah, so that's it for the float. And now for the doubles, you just say double. I'm storing a value of a type double in the variable called, maybe let's call it maybe the marks. And then yeah, and then we can say 7.0. Here you can even put okay, I'll show you when we get to the code editor. And then for the character, yeah, so I want to explain something on the character. So when you are working with the characters, when you want to store a character in a variable, you start right char, and then say maybe class. So when uh, here it is different. Yeah, so instead of just writing any value, it should be wrapped in a single quote, in two, I mean within two single quotes, in between two single quotes. The first quote, and then after typing the first quote, you then you write maybe B, maybe G. Okay, but yeah, here I would recommend just put a single letter. Yeah, because even if you write like this, it is going to get the last item in the value you've provided. And then after typing the value, you close with a single quote. This is a product code. Do not choose the double quotes. It will throw an error. Even in Java, this is the same concept. Even in C++, characters just work the same. Okay, yeah, so you just put the single quote unless you're working with strings, which I will explain, but not in this lesson. Yeah, so that's the difference. And then here you're not only limited to letters, you can put anything. You just put anything. Okay, now let's get back to the code. I think I'll just copy these values. I'll just copy them, then let's paste them, put a semicolon. Let's just arrange them properly. Yeah, okay, so as you can see, okay, now let's say maybe for instance we would like to print these values. We want to see them logged in the console when maybe we run this program. So I'm pretty sure when you go in other programming languages, yeah, remember when I said that every programming language has a feature of printing and outputting. Of outputting and inputting. So let's say maybe we want to display these to the user. Remember, we have a global variable, function called printf in this programming language. So in other programming languages, if you want to print a variable, you just write the print function which exists in that certain programming language, and then in between you just put the name of the variable, like maybe if it is age. You see, even Python has print. You just type print in the name of a variable within these parentheses, and then run. So in this C programming, it is different. It is a different story. Let's try to run this. We see. see it has brought an error terminated with sign 11. I don't even know what this means. Sign 11. Yeah, so it brings that error. But why? Why is it bringing this error? So now this is where conversion specifiers comes in. So now I wanted to explain the low level part of how variables work, but I'll just touch just a little bit just to explain this concept. So what happens behind the hood is that when you store a value into a variable, a computer is going to store it as in bytes, those binary formats. Yeah, so all these values, all these are going to be stored as bytes. So by the time we are trying to print this value, it is already in bytes. So if we were to be printing, if the creator maybe allowed us to be printing these bytes directly, it would have been a little bit exhausting, because maybe most of the hard work would have been onto our side. We were maybe would have been supposed to be converted from the bytes to a certain format which us human beings can read when we output on the screen. So this is when now they came with this printf function that okay, so if let me explain what it does. So this printf function, if you want to print a variable to the user, it will convert from that format to a specified format. By specified, I mean you as a programmer, you need to tell it, okay, this variable, these values I've stored in this variable are coming as bytes. Now I want you to convert these bytes into this format. There is a format for numbers, for in fact for integers, for floats. So it will know, and that is when it will output on the screen. So now how does this happen? How are we going to do this? So with the help of these conversion specifiers, actually let me get back to the notepad. Okay, so conversion specifiers. So these conversion specifiers are more like characters which each data type has. These are used to tell the printf function that I need the data that you're outputting to be converted in this format. So these are characters which will help, or which will tell the printf function the format in which to convert the bytes, of the values which are in bytes. The format to convert the values which are in bytes when outputting it to the user. Okay, so now what are these characters, these conversion specifiers? What is these what are they? Okay, so as I said, that each data type has its own conversion specifier. In fact, it is called now a format specifier. That is another term. It will specify the format. If you don't want to call them conversion specifiers, you can call them format specifier. They'll specify the format in the printf function. Okay. So the first one, which is int. So int, the format specifier for int is represented by these characters. In fact, these format specifiers for each data type begins with a percent sign. It begins with a percent sign. This. Okay, so on integers, it is tricky. The integers, an integer data type has got two. It is the only one that has got two format specifiers. The first one is the percentage I. If you don't want to use this, you can use the percentage. You can use the percentage d. This d is it means digits. A digit. Yeah, it means a digit. Okay, and then for the conversion specifier for float. For a float, it begins with a percentage. Let me just copy this. And the f. And then for doubles, for a double data type, it is represented by the LF. This L, it means long doubles. Okay, but it is another topic. Yeah. So, and then this F, it means the float. Since doubles are quite similar to float, yeah, so it means float. And now for characters, it begins with the percentage and C. Even for strings, it begins with a percentage symbol, or rather say sign, and an S. Okay, so now let's make sense of everything by going to the practicals. Now let's see them in a practical form. Let's get to the text editor. Okay, so let's say now that we want to print the age. If we want to print the age, in this printf function, you first need you need to put the format specifier, which is okay. We are going to use both the d and then the one for the I. So we say digit, and then we separate. We put a comma, and then after this comma, now you put the name of the variable. I'll explain about these values we are passing in between the parentheses when we start learning about the functions. Yeah, so input the age. So now it is going to print. It must print 23. As you can see. Now let's put the I integer. you see it has still outputted 23, so you can use any. And then now let's print this float, the price. We are going to put a f in the variable name. It's going to be the variable name is what's the variable name? The price. Yeah, so now let's run the program. You see it has printed, and the marks, these are doubles. We are going to put LF in the marks. You see it has printed the marks. Yeah, and then to print the character we are going to put C in the name of the variable, which is the class. It has printed G. So now let me show you what I was talking about, that the character, it only takes one item of the values it has been given, and it will take the last item. So like in this these item, let me put another item. Let's say maybe, what am I doing? Maybe the word, let's put the word like let's say there. So it is going to output A. It is going to output A when we run the program. You see, it is only going to take one character. It is going to take one character. Yes, so yeah, so now let me talk about the comments. It is just a very short concept. So the comments, yeah, so comments are used in different scenarios. Comments are used to explain a certain piece of code, and also to prevent a certain statement or line of instruction from executing. So now what do I mean? Let's say maybe you want to explain what the preceding pieces of codes are doing. You can use comments by starting with these two slashes. Okay, here is how it works. So in this programming language, during the execution of the code, when the computer finds where there are these two lines of code, it will ignore everything that is going to be in front. So here you can put anything. As you can see, even the colors of the text are changing, have even changed. So it is going to ignore everything that will come in front of these slashes. Yeah, so with us as programmers, we take advantage of this feature by explaining what the preceding codes are doing. So if you want, you can say maybe like naming variables. Let's say naming let me just say my variables. You can you can write as many comments as you want. Maybe on this line I want to say now that I'm now printing I'm now printing. So you can use these comments to describe what a certain line of code or lines of codes are doing, so that even maybe if maybe you coded some codes maybe for a long time, because you'll be forgetting sometimes what a certain line of code, or maybe some lines of codes were doing, especially after maybe a long time of touching that piece of code. So these will help you to remember, you see. And not only that, they can also be helpful in case maybe you want to share your codes with your friend, so that he or she can easily understand what is happening, what the following codes maybe are doing. It can even be, yeah, very easy, you see. Even when you look at the code, uh, you can easily understand them. You can even say, okay, so a variables a, yeah. So in fact, it is a very good practice to be using these comments. It is another characteristic of a good programmer. Commenting are very important. Yes, so make it a habit as you will be coding. Also, you should be putting, you should be writing comments. You should be writing comments. It is not a forcing matter. It is not a forcing matter. Yeah, so apart from that, you might be maybe in a situation maybe where maybe you've written like let's say I've written another line of code, line of codes. You see, maybe this one is saying max. Okay, now you might be in a situation where maybe right now you don't want this line of code, but you will need it in future. You see, so instead of deleting it and retyping it again when now you need it, you can just put these double slashes in front. Now, remember, anything that comes after these double slashes won't be considered part of the program. It won't be executed. Let me show you. Let's say max lf. Yeah, okay, first let's print these two lines. Let's print these two variables. You see, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, let's try. You see, it has printed e. This e is coming from that day, the character. It is taking the last the last the last item of the value, and then the 7.00 it is representing the max. Okay, actually, let me bring one more concept. Now, have you seen when after printing these two lines, there is no gap left. They have been put in the same line. You can't even differentiate which one is the first variable. So there is a way of making the printf to output that first variable on a separate line, instead of outputting on the same line, like combining them like this. So there is this concept. I don't know, maybe I've just it is a little bit just a little bit wide. Okay, this concept of escape characters. These are just characters which are used to perform to modify to modify the way of outputting on the console. Okay, I think I'll just explain in another video, but for now I just want you to know that if you want um, this this printf to print the value on a new line, you can put a backslash and a n, a backslash and a n. These two work together, and they should be used at the end of this string, these values within the double quotes. It should come in this situation, it should come after the format specifier. Okay, so now let's run this. We see what I'm talking about. You see, now they have been printed on separate lines. It has skipped a line and printed it on a new line. So this will just will help this printf to print a certain value on a new line. Even here you can put /n at the end, and when we run the codes, it has been printed, it has left a line below. Okay, I'll just explain in another video. Yeah, but for now let's focus more on the comments. Yeah, so maybe in a situation where you don't want to print this line for now, but you want to print it maybe later, you can just add these two forward slashes. Actually, these are called forward slashes because they are the upper part the upper part of this slash is heading forward. Yeah, it is heading forward, so they are called forward slashes. In these which I was using on the escape characters, these the upper part is heading back, is pointing backward, so they are called backslashes. Yeah, so you put double forward slashes, and then when we run it, won't now execute. You see, it has now skipped this piece of code. Okay, so now I hope you understand. And okay, I think in the next lesson I'll add more light to variables in probably the escape characters. Yeah, I'll just that's when now I'll explain everything. I'll give more examples. I'll give a lot of examples. Yeah, so that is it for now.